Listen, man, this has been a conversation going on for about a week now. It feels like a week now. It feels like forever. And I had a space about it. I've seen the timeline talking about it. I've seen TikTok talking about it. I want to finally have a genuine conversation. If somebody can, if we can get Sanchez in here, if we can get some people who are very knowledgeable about what's going on in here, we are definitely about to have a very genuine open dialogue about what's going on. Because right now in LA and other places, there are a lot of protests going on. There is a lot of wrongdoings going on, and people are wondering, why are the blacks not speaking up and stepping out? And let me tell you, buddy, as an ignorant Negroid myself, we do not feel like this is a black person problem. We do not feel like this is a black person problem. Now, I will say, I have learned over the course of a couple of days, this issue that's going on is way bigger than immigration. This is a way bigger problem than immigration. So I 100% do believe there should be more knowledge going into this. There should be more thought going into this, and there should be more people going out, stepping out, protesting, and actually speaking up. On the surface, this looks like an immigration problem. My people are from North Carolina, descendant of slaves. There is no deporting us. So from the start, for me, it felt like, why would I step out? But over time, I have learned more information. I've heard other sides and perspectives, and I genuinely understand the point of view of this is bigger than just immigration. Now, again, I would ask for people to come on stage if you are more knowledgeable about the situation, if you know what's going on, if you have anything you want to say or speak on about the situation in a positive light. I don't need niggas coming up here giving me the bullshit about not wanting to protest and step up. I'm not worried about that. I'm trying to get the perspective of the people who know what's going on and can actually give knowledgeable takes about everything and why people should be coming out and protesting. Now, while I wait for people to request to come up and do that, I will say there is definitely, niggas said drop the link, request to come up. I will say there is definitely reasons why a lot of blacks don't feel like they want to join this fight, and I will show you the shit that's going on. Now, I can acknowledge going into this why this is definitely a bad look. This is definitely a skewed way of thinking about this situation. It's definitely one-sided. It's super nasty, the clips that are being sent around to people that niggas is using as an example of, oh, well, this is why niggas ain't stepping out. So let me show y'all a few clips of some stuff I've seen on of course,
like older
niggas are using as, oh, well, this is why we're not stepping out. Let's start here.
Mexican man won't let his daughter date a black man, but she could date a white man
because of the skin color. It's almost sad because they say pa mejorar la raza. That's what they be saying.
To better the race.
Yeah.
Fucked up.
Fucked up, bro. They're fucked up.
So when my grandma moved to the city and my grandpa moved to the city and they met, my grandma automatically just seemed better because she was with this guy from Michoacan that was light skinned and white with green eyes. And he was-
all right, this is one of the clips. Duno, cool dude, speaking on how they do not want their kids dating blacks. Rather than date white. Someone said, do you have to be Mexican or black to speak on stage? No, but you can't be ignorant. You got to be somebody that knows what you're talking about. I only want people on stage that knows what they're talking about. Don't come up here just spewing nonsense and bullshit. Don't come up here trying to get hot takes off. I need you to actually be knowledgeable what's going on. This is another clip that I seen that was being passed around the grapevine of why people don't want to step out and help.
I don't think black people have a right to tell white people or Hispanics what they can and cannot say. And that means if a black person wants to use the N-word, that means a white person also can use the N-word, because all lives matter, not just Black Lives Matter. So with that said, the fact that they're trying to sue this white woman, they're trying to take her kid away from her because she used the N-word, just shows you how toxic cancel culture is. And this is a great case as to how we need to stop cancel culture. It is anti-American, it is anti-free speech, and if you can say the N-word, so can I, whether you like it or not. It doesn't affect your freedom, but you're sure affecting mine by telling me that I can't say it because I'm
again, crazy what she's saying, but I also find it crazy that this is the type of shit that they're pushing so people can, I don't know, get they shit about why they're not helping. This is another clip that I seen. Mind you, this is all from the same page, but this is another clip that I seen that got shared around 11 million views. It's definitely making its rounds again. And Sanchez, you're up here. I know people are requesting I'm gonna get y'all up. I just want to play a couple of these clips just so I can get this shit off, and y'all can see what a lot of people are seeing and pointing to being the reasons why they're not about to step out.
You know what's crazy to me, bro, is when they had the BLM protest, everybody was popping out. Every celebrity, YG, the Ball brothers, everybody was popping out. All the sports teams put BLM on their back, you know what I'm saying, wearing BLM shirts, you know what I'm saying, freedom, wearing all these shirts. I'm talking about the NBA right now, actually. Where is that now? Where are the celebrities now? Where are they protesting now? Where are the teams now? Why is nobody speaking up? Even Kendrick Lamar made a song. Lil Baby made a song. But where's everybody now? Where's all the celebrities? Why is nobody popping out now? Now that everybody's protesting in Los Angeles, San Diego, Chicago, because of ICE, where is everybody now? Why is nobody speaking up? Why is it just the minority speaking up now? You feel what I'm saying? Nobody's talking. Nobody's speaking. You know what's...
Now, before the comment section start going crazy, before people say whatever, I think these are some crazy takes or crazy things to say. I don't agree with a lot of shit that I've been hearing in these clips, but I also don't think this is the reality of a lot of what the Mexican, Latino, Hispanic community feels or views, and it's not fair to dub the whole community for feeling like these people feel in these clips. I've seen way too many people putting the umbrella over the entire community and group of people over what a few people are saying on TikTok in vertical videos. That shit's nasty. Real quick, because again, Sanchez, I know how passionate you are about this, and we've had this conversation. I've been a part of many conversations you had about this, and over the couple of days, I've been thinking what would be the best way for me to do something outside of protest or whatever it is, because you already know how I felt about that. I feel like the best thing I can do is use my platform, however big or small it is, to give someone like you an opportunity to actually give a good positive message or reasoning behind why people should be stepping out of all colors if they want to protest, and why this is an American issue. This is not just a Hispanic issue. This is not something that is just immigration. This is something that will affect all Americans that aren't white. This is something that is way deeper than just immigration and deporting illegals or criminals, as people want to say. This is a lot deeper than that. But before we get to you, it's two niggas on stage. I just Kev, Jordo, where do y'all stand on this whole ordeal?
I I work in healthcare. I was a nigga who was gonna tickle Omar, and I kind of pussied out. But I work in healthcare. I was the same nigga who showed up in a nurse outfit. I know it's kind
Yeah,
of
I know
crazy.
you are.
Yeah. Okay. So I work in healthcare, and I see firsthand. I would say I see firsthand of a lot of Hispanics and stuff like that, and just minorities in general. And at least most of them that I've met, they're very hardworking. They're very compassionate people. And at the end of the day, I mean, I completely do agree we should have good immigration and we should have legal immigration, but at the end of the day, the immigration system is complicated, and it's complicated on purpose. It's complicated to make it difficult for people to come to this country. And so as far as the protest shit, I feel like we need to step out, and I feel like we shouldn't, let these videos kind of dictate how we feel, because like you said, they're one-offs, you know what I'm saying? Like, people get their clips off, people, like the big shit like that's what gets out. And at the end of the day, I feel like they're going to push the envelope and see how much they're going to get away with. And it starts with the minorities. You know what I'm saying? It starts with the people who have less rights than actual Americans. And they're going to come for us. I feel, at least in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? And they're going to start, and they're already chipping away little by little. I mean, like, Trump has also issued a travel ban to a lot of Middle Eastern and African countries on top of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know a lot of them are war torn countries, but at the end of the day, it's still like little things that are keep getting pushed that kind of make it known that, hey, like, this is a country for whites. And at the end of the day, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is white people are becoming a minority, and they realize that. And so like, when these people come to these countries, and I work in healthcare, so like a lot of the people I work with, especially the doctors and stuff, the attendings that I work with, a lot of them, Indians, Asians, and stuff like that. And so, I mean, like, I'm not gonna say, like, because of course, the main point is, we're taking. They say that, the immigrants are taking their jobs, but like they come to this country and they serve a good purpose. And at the end of the day, like a lot of these illegal immigrants that they talk about, said they say they get these benefits and stuff like that. They can't get benefits. They don't have social security numbers. And so like I just feel like a lot of, I guess, what's put out today, and like a lot of shit that goes on in, I guess, like these spaces and shit, it's just a cloud, man. It's just there to like kind of mess us up. And especially speaking for the Mexican, or I shouldn't say the Mexicans, but the Hispanics who come from places like that, and they share those viewpoints about black people. A lot of them, they come here, and when they get theirs, it's like a fuck you, I got mine, like I'm gonna pull the ladder up behind me. And I've seen that a lot, in my opinion, because I work with a lot of Cuban nurses and stuff, and I see it a lot with them. I'm not stereotyping, but it's just like a common kind of thing I see, where they got theirs and they're like, you know what, I feel like I'm kind of white aligning, like I'm white adjacent. They feel like they're white, and so it kind of takes over. I'm not gonna say it takes over their personality, but they kind of become infected with that little, like, fuck you, I got mines, I got my papers, like screw the next person. I completely agree. The people who are committing crimes out there, we need to get them out of here. But at the end of the day, when you're snatching up people off the streets like that, like that's fucking scary, bro. You can't be doing shit like this. And like, and I get that, people have differing viewpoints about it. I get that. But at the end of the day, you have to have compassion for people, man. And a lot of people nowadays lack that. And so like, I get that you may stand on the opposite side, but when you see people are getting shot in the streets randomly, I get that not all the protests are peaceful. I'm going to one tomorrow. But like, so I get that they're not all peaceful, but when you see reporters getting shot by people, when you're getting shot, when you see the Marines being deployed on the American people, like that's crazy shit, man. You're not supposed to do that. So
Absolutely. I feel like you were spitting. I don't think you say anything crazy. Kev, real quick, anything you want to
Yeah,
get off?
yeah, real quick. The LA protests is very important to call them protests because riots insinuate something completely different. The LA protests are peaceful. They become violent when police show up. The LA protests, having watched them live, the LA protests are peaceful in nature. They're peaceful because the people who are protesting realize that if they become violent, they're going to try to twist it the same way they did the BLM protest, how they twisted that into becoming rioters and looters and a whole bunch of dogma that's racist in nature. But yeah, the LA protests are peaceful and they become violent when the police show up. That's number one. Number two, the LA protests are happening because what the administration is doing is illegal and treasonous. So they're going into people as young as 4 are going into courts having to defend themselves without lawyer or parent representation. They're going into the elementary schools. They're going into Home Depots. They're tricking people into coming to courts and then arresting them on the spot. Legal immigrants who come here with work visas, who come here with school visas, are getting deported. The leader of Mexicans for Trump or Latinos for Trump got deported last week or something like that. Like what's happening is very illegal. Which is why it's important for black people and other people to show up. Now, I will say for the Hispanic people that you just showed that was like not against black people, but was like feeling hypocritical about how people showed up for the BLM protest and aren't showing up for the LA protest. I would say that the BLM protest was the warning. We was trying to warn y'all, hey, this is what's going to happen if we vote for these sets of people, if we invite this type of administration into the country. The BLM protest was that warning. I will say you still have to protest. You still have to speak up for other minorities if you're black, white, wherever, because this is a human rights issue. This shouldn't have anything to do with left or right. This is a human rights violation, which is going on. But the BLM protest was that warning, and we tried to tell y'all what was going to happen, and y'all didn't listen. So this is like mess around, find out type stuff that's happening right now with the LA protest.
I feel it. I feel it. Real quick before we get to anybody else, Sanchez, are you here? One, or are you here to speak?
I'm here, bro. I'm here.
Okay, bet. Let me ask before anything, because I know you probably heard some things from people that were speaking, probably have some rebuttals or whatever it is. Let me ask just first, just for everyone that's listening now and everybody that's gonna see the clip when I post it. Can you please explain why this is more than just a immigration issue that is being protested against and everything like
So
that?
the reason that I think that this is more of an immigration issue is because on the surface level, if we talk about the way that immigration works, the reason that they're able to profile Latinos in particular is because of a executive order that Donald Trump passed called the Criminal Aliens Act. that he passed pretty early on in his term. And basically, what that is it's a wartime pact where he's able to like detain certain ethnicities based on a war that's happening. So the war that he declared was against Venezuela. It's currently in the Supreme Court to be either deemed non-constitutional or deemed constitutional. And the way that they did it is because I don't know if you guys remember what was happening in Colorado, where supposedly a Venezuelan gang was taking over those apartment complexes. It was a gang called Tren de Aragua, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And what ended up happening is Donald Trump's administration believes that they infiltrated the Venezuelan government. So Donald Trump has declared political war against them. So what he's doing is he's corralling Latinos that are deemed to be questionable and detaining them. There's a reason why they're detaining them and not deporting them in mass. And when they are getting deported, they're getting deported to Central America or they're getting deported to Venezuela. The reason that this whole lawsuit is happening in the Supreme Court is because a citizen of the United States, a natural born citizen of the United States that happened to be Latino, was sent to Venezuela and killed. So the reason that this is an issue is because this is unconstitutional. In the Constitution, it says all peoples. It doesn't say a status. It doesn't say U.S. citizens. It says all peoples will be protected under the rights of the Constitution. I believe, don't quote me on the exact verbiage of the Constitution, but something to that effect. So basically what they're doing is also Donald Trump has ran on the ideology of that the Constitution needs to be revised and that the Constitution doesn't matter. Most of us should be very well aware that Donald Trump is currently trying to find ways to constitutionally or unconstitutionally run for a third term. So the reason that this is an issue is because we have somebody in office that is directly opposing like politically elected, like democratically elected political officials and vilifying them in the media, being Gavin Newsom, Senator Alex Padilla. We've seen it when recently with the clips that were going out during the press conferences where Alex Padilla went into an ICE press conference, was trying to ask questions, announced himself to be a senator of California, and was detained for supposedly being disrespectful. Now, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Constitution. Being disrespectful is not a crime. It's not. It's not a crime. And on top of that, he's a government official that was detained and put in handcuffs on live television because he went into a press conference and they said that he was recording. There was hundreds of people recording that in that press conference. So it's just we're continuing to see a trend of authoritarian dictator-like qualities where Donald Trump is trying to levy all of the power in his favor. Currently, right now, I believe the state of California is trying to sue Donald Trump for militarizing the National Guard in LA. Because when National Guard steps foot into a state, because of the way that the military works, the National Guard is supposed to be passed off to the power of the governor to gain control and, annex whatever situation is going on. That didn't happen. They stayed under the power of Donald Trump. So that already was deemed to be
I
reversed.
was just about to say that.
That's why we've seen the National Guard leave LA. Secondly, the reason that this is so critical is because if they're willing to take away the constitutional rights of a marginalized group, not even just one, they're starting to detain other marginalized groups in other areas of the country. But if they're willing to take away the constitutional rights of one marginalized group, and we have a president in power currently that has no regard for the Constitution, it's not far-fetched for him to remove constitutional rights of all marginalized groups. All he would have to do is reverse one constitutional right, and Black people go back to being less than human in the eyes of the American government. And that's why it's an issue, is because we're so close to the brink of chaos and disorder and destruction in this country that all it would take would be for Donald Trump to make one change to the Constitution, like he's already trying to do, or find a loophole, and we all lose our right. So I
Can I
think
pick it
I
back?
mean, yeah, go ahead.
Because I agree with everything. Whatever you was about to say, I was about to say this found more. This is becoming more if you're American citizenship, and this is coming from me as a military vet, 5 years. Like I served 5 years in the Navy. When you're trying to become a dictatorship, this is where it's going. the problem in the protesting, like I said, the reason why people are protesting in LA because they're a sanctuary. And what a sanctuary is right, the law enforcement are not supposed to be helping ICE pick up illegal
Well,
immigrants.
well, not technically.
Or
The
no,
verbiage
but
of a
no, but
sanctuary city is that
no,
it's an
but
area for
but
sovereign citizens to go and be
yeah, but
protected under the
basically they're not
Constitution.
supposed to. Yeah, they're not supposed to help, nor they're not supposed to whatever it is. It's supposed to be a neutral zone. The problem was LAPD were, you know what I'm saying, like setting perimeters for ICE and all this what you call it, which did piss off the citizens. This is why the protests were happening. Did Trump, once again, like I said, you bring in the National Guard when you're not supposed to bring in the National Guard. First of all, you're supposed to ask the governor anyway, because every state has a National Guard, and every governor is in charge of that. So as the president, you're not even supposed to be overstepping that boundary. Two, you're not supposed to be mobilizing the troops. Like, and I'm saying this as a vet, I sworn to protect the people of this country. That's why I sworn whatever it is, not to go against. So what he's doing is he's going against the people of this nation. He's going against us.
And also, like he said, there was a bill back when Biden was president. There was a bipartisan border bill, and
Yeah.
Trump went back and he
Yes.
told Republicans, he said,
Mm-hmm.
"Nah, make sure that shit doesn't pass, so that the
Oh,
border will be an issue during the election."
yeah.
He
Like
literally told them this, bro.
y'all don't understand how this will trickle down. Like he's trying to
And,
take
and,
away habeas. He's trying to take away habeas corpus.
Let,
He's
let me
trying.
ask this real quick. Bringing up some clarity to what's actually going on with the protests, cool. Let me also ask you this. To the people, and I'm one of them, who were saying, why should blacks go out and help in these protests when in the past there have not been representation of people to help protest when we needed it? I know we already had this conversation, but just for the broader audience,
I
what do you
I
say to
could
that?
Well, I would
I
say
could
the same thing that I told you. There has been a lot of representation. Like I said, the LULAC, League of United Latino Citizens, they protested pretty heavy where they're represented with Black Lives Matter. Latino Community Fund in Georgia, that's another Southern. A lot of these are Southern as well because I believe our conversation was that they didn't pop out in Southern states,
In the
right?
South, yeah,
So
yeah, it was
yeah,
the perception of your area conversation.
so Latino Community Funds, LFC Georgia, that's another Southern organization, Latino Justice. Mi Gente, which is another Latino civil rights group from down there, Border Network for Human Rights. Pastor Rene Molina, he had a couple of churches that displayed Black Lives Matter banners and had provided public statements of unwavering support in areas that it wasn't very popular. Maralen Cordova, a journalist that wrote about it in a school where that opinion wasn't very popular. And then there were a plethora of Latino artists that aren't even from the South that spoke up for the greater Latino community. I believe that the reason that, for one, I don't believe anybody that doesn't believe in this cause should step out, right? Because that's where like disingenuity happens in the movement, and where things end up happening, where we lose steam, we lose sincerity in the movement, right? I want for people to find or to hear, to learn for themselves and figure out why. That's why I offer these informations in the Discord all the time, right? Like this morning, I was kind of blowing up the Discord talking about this kind of stuff. And it's not because I want to change anybody's mind. I want to offer the information so that if you read it and you're tempted to learn about it on your own and learn why this is so terrible on your own, I would rather that, because then at least then you're coming from a genuine place as opposed to wanting to click to feel like you're having a pat on the back. Unfortunately, like they're criminalizing a lot of these protests the same way they were criminalizing Black Lives Matter, into a point now where they're militarizing police, putting curfews on cities. So obviously they don't want this issue to become bigger than it already is. So, like I said, I don't want anybody to protest that isn't genuinely ready to protest. I want everybody to find their own way. I'm going to offer the information as much as I can on Twitter, as much as I can in the Discord, as much as I can on my Instagram. I'm going to offer the information because if I can change two people's minds, that two people can go and change another two people, and it can be a trickle down effect where we all affect our community for the greater good. Because at the end of the day, when we're dealing with the president that doesn't care about anybody's constitutional rights, we're in a scary place. Because if you guys looked at the parade that they were marching for today and practicing for today in Washington, D.C. for Donald Trump's like military parade, it looked a lot like North Korea. It was really, really scary. Like it looked very much like a totalitarian dictator like fucking parade, and it was scary. And the gentleman, I believe it was Taryn, that said he served in the military. They did swear to protect our rights, but
And
they swore to
also, I just
protect
find
the
it
Constitution.
disrespectful. It's also the Army's birthday, and I find it disrespectful. Even though I'm not a part of the Army, I was part of the Navy. It is the Army's birthday on the 14th. I find it highly disrespectful because it's your birthday to try to use military what you call it when the Army should be celebrating their birthday because they've been here since 1775, since the inception of the United States Revolutionary War. You know what I'm saying? For you to do that is just bonkers. Like you just have no respect for America or the government or the people who fought, died. You know what I'm saying? All these things for you to sit in this office or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's my problem as a vet. It's just a spit in my face. That's just what it
No,
is.
that's true, and we appreciate your service, man. At least I really
So this
appreciate
is
your
why I'm
service.
like, because it's a spin in my face as a black man. It's a spin in my face as a veteran who served. You know what I'm saying? Who served for this country. My brothers and sisters who died and served for this country. All those things, and like I just don't take it too lightly. And I don't think people understand how this can really trickle down. Like I said, for example, habeas corpus. He's trying to take that away, proven innocent until they have proof. Like you know what I'm saying? Those things.
No, 100%. I mean, he was trying
You
to
don't know, like that
he was
affects.
trying to call
Yeah,
for Gavin Newsom to be arrested because Gavin Newsom openly
yes.
detested
All because
the
of
call of the National
this
Guard.
is
Also, student arraign. I
Gavin
do my
Newsom's actions
yeah.
are protected under the First Amendment.
Because when
100%,
Also,
when people
100%,
real quick,
100%.
real quick. Damo's original question was why should black people go out and protest
because
alongside
because
for the
it's going
Hispanic
to hit
community?
us.
Exactly,
It's going to hit
because
us.
exactly
Habeas
because
corpus, all this what's
if
called
it's
is going to
happening
hit us.
if it's happening to the Hispanic community, if it's happening
It's,
to
it's
the
going
Native
to hit
American
us.
community, if it's happening to all of these other marginalized groups, we understand how America was founded and what it was built upon. Who do you think is
Yeah.
next? That is the point.
Because if
That
you
is literally the
because
point.
if you take away because he's also trying to take away the 14th Amendment, which is birthrights.
Yep.
And who
The
do you think
reason
is
And
going
why
to be
they for
affected by
and
that?
it's true.
it's
Every
going to be
African
100%.
affected
American
by
that
black
was born
people
in this
because
And
country.
it's
it
like,
was originally made for us because we were slaves. So if they
let
take
me
that
and let me
away,
reiterate. Let
what
me
makes you
reiterate.
think they
Oh,
won't? You know what I'm saying?
I forget the direct constitutional line that abolished slavery. I believe it was it the 18th or the 19th. I believe it's somewhere. I don't remember which exact.
No, it's the 14th Amendment.
14th Amendment. 14th
It was
Amendment.
the 14th Amendment. The
Well,
14th Amendment abolished.
that was
That's
birthright
what abolished,
citizenship.
but that's what abolished slavery
Oh, the
in this.
13th. Okay, it was the 13th.
So it was the 13th and then the 14th. But the
Correct.
14th is
So the third,
to make sure they won't do anything to us as
100%.
African
But
slaves. And
it's
what I'm
like I
saying is when
said,
you take that,
all it would take would be for Donald Trump to find it find a way to deem it unconstitutional, remove one of
yes.
those, and now all of us are nothing less than fodder,
Right.
genuinely.
Right.
And
To burn out
Because let's just
to that
say,
person.
like, they just grabbing anybody. Let's just say, like, they might think I might be Dominican or Haitian or whatever it is, and I might whatever it is, and you try to deport me to when I'm not that. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
And for
That's what they're.
those that say that this thing is going to start a civil war, it very much could, but
Oh no, yeah.
it's also based on how the military responds, because
yeah.
if the military responds
But
behind
that's
Donald
why.
Trump, I mean,
Yeah.
we're kind of fucked. Like as civilians, all we could do is take up arms, barricade in our
But that's why I
homes,
tell y'all,
create
y'all need to read our
sanctuary
Declaration of
cities.
Independence.
100%. I mean, I've read it for sure. But see, again, right? Hold on. SMS King,
We,
that's a fair
yeah,
point. But if I bring up statistics about it, right?
it's just the right thing to do, regardless.
I believe the Latino vote that voted for Trump was only like 37% of the entire Latino population.
I
So
think it was like
it it
46.
it's funny. No, that was the male population,
Oh,
not the entire. It was less than 40% of the Latino population voted for Trump. So I just
regardless of
think
that,
that
it's still the right thing to do.
no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is
Yeah,
like narrative of Latinos did this to themselves. No,
yeah.
Latinos didn't do this to themselves. They're giving you statistics about a very small pocket of the Latino
Hmm.
population that does not like dictate the entire Latino population.
Real quick,
Go
real
ahead.
quick, real quick. Not to interject, but I got to get back to the game, people. I'm
Nah,
not
you're
gonna
good,
lie.
bro.
I just wanted to give a quick stage to really get some actual information out so people know what's really going on. There's a lot of misinformation going on. There's a lot of ignorant conversations going on. It's a lot of people who don't know anything that is going on. So I wanted to at least get some of the right information, hear some unbiased sides, and just, have a good, healthy convo about what's going on. If anybody here does want to always be informed, always have genuine information, know what's going on, Sanchez provides information for niggas all the time when it comes to politics and everything like that. Join the Discord. I'm not gonna lie. Join the
Yeah,
Discord.
genuinely.
If you are trying to have genuine conversations, I'll let Sanchez shout out his socials, his Twitch and everything. But if you are trying to have genuine conversations about politics, you want to be informed about what's going on in politics because you just are misinformed or don't know, join the Discord. He is happy to talk to niggas 24/7 if it's in the name of providing the right information. But Sanchez, go ahead and shout out your everything.
For the most part, on Twitter and on Instagram, y'all can find me at El Ray Brims. On Twitch, King_Sanchez, and I'm in OTF all the time. That's usually where I stream from. I don't really talk about political stuff on Twitch very much, but I would be open to having talks about politics. But I just want to keep people informed, man. There's a lot of misinformation about what's going on in LA, about what's going on around the country in terms of like these protests. I mean, if anybody ever wants to have a conversation about it, man, just hit me up. I'll drop the link to the Discord right now.
I'm about to drop it right now. I'm actively about to drop
perfect.
the link.
Yep.
Yeah.
Click on OTF. Come through to OTF because that's where we're at. You guys got to make sure you guys choose OTF.